laughter. So I'm excited to hear you. So Reverend Shawn, please come up.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Hello. There I am. I'm so thrilled to be here. We came here about 10 years ago. When we got here last minute, we had to sit all the way in the back. We got like the last 3 seats in the back. And I always wanted to speak here ever since then. And thanks to Richard Lutringer right there, he made a phone call this year and suggested that they invite us in, and they did. It was good advice. You don't know me yet, but I want to introduce our soloist. Come on up. Come up here. Float among the clouds. Now, how many here know who David Friedman is? Yay. Not nearly enough, but you will after today. This is how I like to introduce him. It doesn't always sound very nice, but David has touched all of you. And he has touched your children, and I mean that in the nicest ways. David orchestrated and conducted Beauty and the Beast, Aladdin, Pocahontas, A Hunchback of Notre Dame. He wrote for Aladdin 2. He's written Broadway shows. He's written off-Broadway shows. He was on the Today Show for 10 years. If you remember Nancy Lamont, he produced all her albums and wrote a lot of her music. And so he's been around. He's done a lot of good things. Also, he's had platinum records with Diana Ross. He's written for Barry Manilow. He also says that he's written for Barbra Streisand, Bette Midler, and who's the other one? Dionne Warwick. They haven't yet sung his songs, but he's written for them. So let's welcome David Friedman. I'm going to go over here.
Thank you. So this song is very special to me. Nancy Lamont, who Shawn mentioned, was a magnificent singer, one of the great singers of American popular standards in the 20th century. And she was sort of my muse. I produced 9 CDs for her. Most of my most well-known songs were written for her. And Nancy died in 1995 at the age of 43. And when she passed, I was totally bereft. And I thought I'd never write again. And everybody kept saying, "Oh, what are you going to write about Nancy?" And I said, nothing's coming to me. And one day, I was walking down the street, and this song came to me so full-blown that I had to run into a stationery store and write it down. And given how I felt at the time, how angry I was, how sad I was, there's no way I could have written this song. And this was, I feel like Nancy gave it to me. And this was when I really understood. I've written hundreds and hundreds of songs, but I don't write them, that they write me, and that I have no idea how to write a song. I have an idea how to open to one. And so this is the song that wrote me via Nancy Lamont, and I offer it to you today for anything you might be going through, and it's called Trust the Wind. There's a voice that's softly whispering inside my head, telling me I'm gonna be all right. It keeps saying, let yourself be led where you are led. Don't hold back, don't put up a fight. It tells me, trust the wind, breathe the air. There's a place you're meant to be, and you're already there. Open up your heart and let life in. You know that you can always trust the wind. When the world starts doing things that I don't understand, and I search my soul to find a reason why, in the dark of night, I feel somebody take my hand and tell me you don't even have to try, for you can trust the wind, breathe the air, and know that there There are helping hands around you everywhere. Open up your heart and let life in. You know that you can always trust the wind. Dreams have wings, thoughts take flight. All good things are streaming toward us every day. They hear our prayers, they know the way. I'm gonna trust the wind, breathe the air, let it take me on its wings and carry me somewhere. I'll open up my heart and let life in. I know wherever breezes blow, wherever winding rivers flow, I'm going where I need to go. I can trust the wind. Thank you.
Oh, he's good, isn't he? He said, do this professionally. We're going to do something a little different today. I'm going to do this in Pig Latin. I hope that won't be a problem for the signing down there. Hey, who here was raised in a CSL church? How many here? Yeah, that's what I thought. So I'm going to tell you a story about a man who was thrown on a desert island for many years. His boat capsized and he made it onto this deserted island. And he was there for a very, very long time. And one day a boat came along and it was a rescue boat and they said, there's a person there. And they came up. Now what was amazing is this man had built up the island while he was there. There was a dock. The boat could actually dock. And they came up and said, what's going on here? It's beautiful. There's huts going, beautiful thatched huts and things and stuff. And they said, where did all this come from? And he said, well, I built it. I've been here a long time, many years. And so I had nothing better to do than to build and construct. And they said, but those 3 buildings up on the hill there, where'd they come from? He said, I built them. They said, you built this? Yes, I built them. And then he said, what are they? And he said, well, the middle one, that's my house. They said, it's beautiful. And he said, I know. And then they said, the one on the left, what's that? He said, that's my church. You built a church for yourself? Yes. And what about the other one up on the right? He said, oh, that's the church I used to go to. And there you have it. Today's talk is called Here I Am. How about that? David has a friend who likes to go to Las Vegas, and she goes up to the counter and she says, here I am. What do you got for me? What do you want to give me? And I like to think of that when I go into prayer. Here I am. What are you going to give me? What do you got for me today? And it's not, oh, please give me. You go into prayer with great expectation. True humility is expecting God's best. Those of you in 12-step recovery, you'll see that 7-step prayer. It says, humbly asked to have our shortcomings removed. Well, and somebody said, what does that humbly mean? I said, it means expect God's best. Why go into prayer if you don't expect the best? I was at an interfaith ordination several years ago, and all of the different ministers and teachers and things, they all got to say a little prayer. And there was one woman who was quite infirm in her legs, and her prayer was, she finished it with, and God, if you could make my legs just a little bit better. And I thought, there's not an ounce of humility in that. Why are you taking all this time to pray for a little when the whole healing is possible? In the realm of possibility, why not expect a great big healing? Charles Fillmore, co-founder of the Unity Movement, said, God can give much as easily as God can give a little. Let's just start expecting much. Let's get on that much thing. And it's not about, oh, how much can I get? It's about realizing how much I have, that I can reach into the invisible and pull something great out. And oh, that path to getting to that great sometimes can be uncomfortable. Anybody? You know, the path to the realization of oneness is usually not a comfortable one. It's like, oh, ow, 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 ow. And so to look at that, say, it's one of my favorite things to do. Ow, 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 ow. Oh, look, I can walk on fire and not get burned. It's a truly holy moment when you flick the switch to turn on a candle. Expecting much. It took me a long time because I was taught it's arrogant to expect a lot. That's where I grew up. You can't expect God to give you a lot. Well, why not? When I got old enough, I began to look at God differently. And I was taught good orderly direction when I got old enough. And I loved that as a path of God. Not to God, but of God. Good orderly direction. One foot in front of the other. One thought in front of the other. One word in front of the other. Or following the other. You know what I mean? And so to look at that, and I like this God. Because this is practical. In my great expectations for the day, I can, get up. I can wake up. Anybody? Did you already wake up today?
Yeah.
Everybody, you did what you did before you got here, which is good. And then you got in the car or whatever, and then you came here. That's all good, orderly direction. We take it for granted, but really we shouldn't. There's no good reason to take it for granted. Celebrate each part. One of my favorite things to do each morning is I look in the mirror and I say, "Hi, God." It's that simple. Because you know why? In "Hi, God," there's no criticism. No criticism of which side of the... There's no bedhead for me, but you know what I mean. My skull is flattened. There's no criticism. There's no condemnation for weight. There's no condemnation for baldness. There's no condemnation for being me. When I look in the mirror and I say, "Hi, God," I have to smile. I just have to smile because, "Hi, God." No, I'm not going to do that. No, because God's not a human being. It's an acknowledgement of a power and a presence in and through and around me. And my day starts easier. And then I brush my teeth. Now I shower and I do everything I need to do there to get out of the house. Or to stay in and work or do whatever, you know what I mean? But good, orderly direction, expecting the best. Now, on the way to the best can be brutal. As David has said, on my way to becoming a millionaire, I lost all my money. And it happens. And then suddenly you see your money. If you lose it, was it yours? You know, if somebody could take it, was it yours? And yet we spend so much of our lives terrified that our good is somehow going to be ripped out from under us. And it's a tough one. I don't want to spend my life worried that my good is about to disappear. It's why I make a better driver than I do a passenger. He doesn't love it. I'm hanging on to that handle above the window. When he drives it, he's a fine driver, but I'm not a fine passenger. I've got this power of imagination that I misuse when I'm the passenger, and I don't want to do that. So, you know, when I was a little boy, well, if you came from my family, and probably many of you did, there was a lot of worry. There was not nearly enough being present in the presence, but there was a lot being in the dangers of the future. And so that's what I was taught, and it didn't make sense. And I had to work hard not to agree with those people. They weren't bad people, but they were my family. And the truth is, well, they did the best they could. Not my favorite statement, because their best was awful. But I had to, as an adult, say, you know what? That's their journey. I don't have to have that be my journey. And so through my teen years and into my 20s and past, and I kept looking at things, and I did a lot of damage. Nobody ever hurt me as much as I hurt myself. And then, and I just said this at church yesterday, I learned how to become grateful for who I am now and to realize I couldn't be this without that. And this was good. This still is good. This is very good. Please, I've doubled this good. And I'm not here to fat shame. But it's hard on the knees. I will tell you that. But this is good. And this is good because of the way I think now. Sometimes, most of the time. But look at but if that had been one bit different, this would be different. And so I didn't want to regret that different. Or that. I didn't want to wish that were different anymore. And isn't that really what forgiveness is no longer wishing that hadn't happened. Once I'm out of regret, once I'm out of wishing that hadn't happened, then I'm free. I'm free, and today I'm free to know I am loved today. I am loved all around me. As God is for me, nothing could be against me. And that's how I seek to live a lot of my life in the days I remember. Hi, God. The other days. And so, but I look at that. I think, God is for me. And I remember my mother and I, we had a tumultuous relationship through my teen years and her early menopausal years. And she was confused as a mother. Like I said, their best was awful. And so, but I didn't want to hate my mother. I wanted to love my mother. So I worked at that. I decided as I prayed, show me how to love my mother. And I did. And she became a better mother to me in later years. And I remember Christmas of 1999, I was home. No, 93. I was home. Is it 93? What year was it? It was 97. Told you. So 1997, I went home for Christmas and saw my mother and everything. And I remember seeing my mother on Christmas Eve, boy, she's due for a big change. I wonder what it is. So I was excited for her. And then I came back to New York. While I was home, that's the point of this. I decided to make my amends, as it were, to my mother. And amends means to rethink. That's what it means, to rethink the whole situation. And so I told my mother, she started to apologize again for the childhood and stuff. And I didn't want her to have to keep doing that. So I said, Mother, look at me. Look at who I am. Look at this. It's wonderful. And I said, you don't have to apologize ever again because I couldn't be this without that. And I saw a certain amount of relief on her face. And as she died 3 weeks later. 64 years old, she laid down, took a nap, and left. I know, I say my amends killed my mother is what I say now. And she was ready. She was done, clearly. Or she wouldn't have left. That's how I see that. It's her business. I wouldn't bring her back, but I would like to call her on the phone. But I began to see. And so when I went home to see my mother in the casket, and I begged for an open casket because I wanted that. She had been dead for 3 days before we found her. And there was my mother in the casket. I thought, holy smokes, my mother's dead. This is just too much for me to understand. This is too much to take in. And like a lightning bolt went off in my head, and I thought, that's what God is. Just too much to understand. Too much to define. Too much to put in a box. And I've never tried to figure God out since then. What I accept God as is omnipresence, omniscience, omnipotence. Power, presence, intelligence itself. And so to practice God that way with my good, orderly direction, I can see things differently than they used to be. I can perceive things in a whole new light. And my way I do it is I say, Spirit, tell me what to think about this. Because when I start to fret, my day doesn't go as well as I would like it to. Now, I was about to say when you read your Bible, but that's really laughable, isn't it? I will read this for you. I didn't bring my own Bible with me. I forgot. And so I asked to borrow one from somebody who said, Shawn, please be gentle with this Bible because we read it every day in my family and I want to take care of it. And I said, okay, I'll be nice. This came out of your nightstand. Well, it comes from Luke, Luke 12, and it says, do not worry, that passage. So I'm going to read that passage from this book, the Holy Spirit's interpretation of the New Testament. I don't know if you know this book. It's my favorite. And it's written to me like through the mind of Spirit. And it speaks directly to me. And it goes Matthew through Revelation. I'm not selling them. But it's my favorite book. And this passage from Luke says, do not worry about your progress on this path. This path that you travel to healing. To be on the path and aware of the path and thinking of the path is enough. Let me tell you a secret that will make your journey along this path simpler and more joyful. The secret is this. As you travel this path, you will only have two experiences. It may seem like many, but in truth, it is only two. One experience will speed you along your journey in joy. The other will delay your journey a little while. The secret to a simple and joyful journey is to learn to discern between the two experiences and then always choose the joyful one. Which one?
Joyful one.
There you go. You're paying attention. Thank you. I've spoken to you of both experiences before. So this is but a reminder for you, Spirit says. The only two experiences that you will know as we travel this path together are the experience of your willingness and the experience of your resistance. Two. Willingness, resistance. Everything that you think you experience is either one or the other. Simplify Spirit. It makes my day easier. So do not worry about your progress on this path. Sorry. And there we go. I choose joy. Do not worry for your own thoughts or actions, for worry and judgment do not bring joy, so they cannot be willingness. Pay attention to that. My worry doesn't bring me joy, so my worry is not willingness. Fantastic. Discern carefully, my friend. Recognize the thought within your mind, and at every opportunity, choose the strength of your willingness. Seek only for the kingdom, and all things will be given you. Where your heart is, your treasure is also. It will be helpful if you remember this. God's will is that you be perfectly happy in every moment of eternity. Now, David Friedman here has created something called the Thought Exchange. He's written books about it, and he's doing a workshop on it this afternoon. I want him to come up here and explain, because this has to do with shifting your thinking so that you can choose for joy rather than resistance.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So, we are New Thought. We all know that thinking positively creates a positive experience, positive results, positive choices, and even positive ways in which the universe shows up. And so we say, think positive. Take on a positive thought. Don't be negative. And I took over a group called the Artist Support Group in New York at Unity of New York about 20 years ago. And I went in to see what they were doing, and they were thinking positive thoughts. But I noticed, and I think you will agree, if we know that positive thoughts create positive results, how come so many of us so often have trouble holding on to those positive thoughts? How come we think a positive thought, and in 10 seconds, or in 2 minutes, or in 2 days, they're not there? We make a New Year's resolution, and then, it goes out. So I began to think, we're not lazy, we're not stupid, we're spiritual seekers. There must be a good reason why this is so challenging. And what I discovered in my workshops and study is that if a positive thought has somehow been associated with trauma in the past, for instance, if you said, I can do this, and someone slapped you across the face and said, no, you can't, we very quickly associate that positive thought with physical discomfort, and we run to what I don't call a negative thought. I call it a protective thought, to protect us against this. So what we have to do to stay with a positive thought is feel the discomfort that comes with it and not run from it. And so it's confusing because someone says, think positive, and we think positive, and then we're totally uncomfortable. We think we must be doing something wrong. So in this workshop, we work on how to notice things that you would like to be different in your life. Notice what you're thinking, because the world we don't live out in the world. I can't even prove that you people are here. I know that I experience you because you're in here. So we look at the world, we think, what am I thinking? What would I like to think? And then we notice how uncomfortable it is when we think that, and we work on being able to be with that discomfort. So I teach the technology, then people share. No one has to share. You get as much out of it whether you share or not. But it really, every time I do it, I just am so moved by how much people share and the gigantic shifts that happen in people. I'm a person who has achieved quite a lot, and I'm one of the most physically uncomfortable people you'd ever like to meet. And I am able to do things because I'm able to be uncomfortable. So join me this afternoon, and we will work through, whatever you want to work through. And it's very safe, and it's very joyful, and I'll see you at the Thought Exchange.
So, willingness or resistance. Pay attention as you go through your day and you decide, do I have any dreams left? Is there anything I would like to experience? She said that I a stand-up comic. I wanted to be on stage my whole life, but I was afraid. Now, not everybody has to want to be on stage, but everybody wants to show up and experience something. I wanted to know what it was like. And so in my 50s, or actually in my 40s, I thought, I'm going to try stand-up comedy. And I put a seven-minute set together. I ended up doing 30 appearances my first year. A few years later, I thought, I want to do my one-man show. Never done it. And I said, now's the time. And I called, a club booked me. I sold out for 10 months in New York, and I won a few awards. I did it in spite of being afraid. I said, I'm allowed to do it. My show was called Because I Can. A few years ago, before I met him, I would have told you I can't sing. Oh, no, I can't sing. And one day I was in his apartment, and he was playing his song. I think it was Don't Give Up the Ship. Help Us on the Way. He won't be doing that selection today. But I was play singing. And he said, oh, that sounds nice. Hear that note, send it across the room. So I did. And he said, oh, you can sing. I said, really? I didn't know. And so I was in a songwriting workshop of his. at a retreat, and I wrote a song. I think you guys were there. It's called Big Honkin' Love Song. And it was, I'm not going to do that today either. And the next year, I was going to say, write a serious song at his. And I did. I wrote an opus called The Cookie Song, which it's online. You can find it if you want. I'm not going to do that today. And then I thought,
It was Bring Me the Cookies I Need.
Yeah, bring me the cookies I need. And then I thought, I want to sing a David Friedman song. Now, again, singing does not make you more special. But if it's something you want to do, it empowers you. There is something so wonderful at getting up in life, whether it's in front of an audience, whether it's behind a typewriter, whether it's in a store, whether it's anything, or something you want to do, and you've been afraid to do it, and you do it anyway. You find the support system you need. And I say this because clearly none of us are getting any younger. Even these little ones here, they're not getting any younger. It's time to apply for college. What are your extracurricular activities? But I didn't want to get older wishing I had tried something and think, oh, I never tried it, doggone it. And so guys, here I am. What do you got for me? Let that in your prayer. And what Spirit has got for you is divine ideas. Get your team together and see about manifesting them. I'm going to sing a song of David Friedman's right now. And it's a lot of people's favorite song. It's mine. And here we go. Let me wet the gift here first. Thank you. Here we go. Thanks for having us. I never thought that there could be a love like yours and mine. I never dreamed that I would see the day that I would find a love that feels so right. But here we are tonight, and now the only thing we really need is time. We live on borrowed time. No one can be sure when the loan will finally come due. But I'm loving all of mine. I know what time is for. I borrowed it so I could spend it all right here with you. There was a time when I believed that life held guarantees. There was a time when I was sure my future was secure. But life had other plans. The future's in God's hands, and knowing that has let me live and love you more. We live on borrowed time. Yesterday is past. Tomorrow seems a million miles away. But I promise you that I'm gonna make love last by living every moment, every hour, every day. Now we may have a year and we may have a lifetime. No one can be certain what the future will allow. But you and I are here, and this time is the right time. 'Cause one thing that I know is that we have each other now. And now we live on borrowed time. Let's celebrate and sing as we walk bravely into the unknown. 'Cause we're gonna be just fine, whatever life may bring. We'll face it all together, and we'll never be alone. We may not have forever, but our time will be our own. See you in church.